Here's a solo RPG toolkit, streamlined enough to fit in a Matchbox. I've created and unpacked lots of other portable solo RPG kits on this channel, so if you want to see the evolution of this idea, I'll add links to those previous videos in the description. Basically, I tend to get fixated on concepts and iterate on them, creating multiple versions of things. With every new solo RPG kit, I kept thinking, okay, but how can this be more compact, and making smaller versions. Many solo RPG systems use card draws as a way to randomize things, which can mean regular playing cards and sometimes tarot cards. I even wrote a solo RPG oracle, which is based on tarot cards, so obviously using tarot cards is something I tend to do. But including decks of cards in the kit was always the limiting factor in how small I could make it. The case had to be at least big enough to fit those. To get smaller, I knew I had to either miniaturize the cards further, or find a way not to include them at all. This idea turned out to be the key. Rather than include decks of cards, I wrote rules to emulate them, using the dice that were already in the kit. The major arcana of a tarot deck consists of 22 cards, so it can be simulated by having a list of the cards and rolling a d20 to choose one randomly. If you roll 20, then roll d3, which just means use a die that is evenly divisible by 3. The simplest is d6, counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This lets you randomly select between cards 20, the Sun, 21, Judgment, and 22, the World. The d4 can be used to choose suits randomly. The suits of a standard deck of cards and the suits of the minor arcana of a tarot deck mirror each other, so it isn't necessary to have different methods for choosing them. You can get a card number by rolling d12. On 11 or 12, roll d4 to choose the core card. In a tarot deck, there are 4 core cards, so you can use the number as rolled. In a standard deck of cards, there are only 3 face cards, so you can consider a roll of 4 moon, and just use the 10th card of whatever suit, or the joker, if the system you're playing uses them. With these rules, the kit doesn't need to include decks of cards, and suddenly there isn't a limit to how small it can get. I was originally gonna put this setup in a tic-tac container, but I didn't have one on hand. Then I remembered this antique Matchbox I had, and realized it would work just as well and look awesome. If you wanted to make a kit like this, you could use a Matchbox, a tic-tac container, a gum case, a mint tin, etc. This setup is the right scale to fit any of those easily. The rolls can be glued to the outside surface of the container to save interior space, or they could be on a small card. It depends on the type of container you're working with, and whether it's transparent or not. Here's the full graphic I made for this, if you're interested in taking a screenshot of it for your own use. Inside there's a set of polyhedral RPG dice, a pencil, an eraser, and a coin. The coin isn't really necessary, since you could easily use one of the dice to determine the answer to a question with 50-50 odds. But I liked how the silver metal offset the brass on the front of the box, and there was just enough space, so I added it. This one is a Canadian dime. The mini dice are alloy that look like antique bronze, but you could use mini dice in whatever color you want. If you don't want a full set, you'd have extra space for multiples of the same denomination, if that's more convenient for whatever game system you use. I opted to have a full set and just roll the same die multiple times if necessary for a given system. I haven't thought of a way to make the kit smaller than this yet. If you have ideas about that, feel free to comment below. If you are still watching, remember to like the video and subscribe to see if I eventually work out a way to miniaturize this setup more.